And joining me now to discuss the halt of the AstraZeneca vaccine by about 5 countries is a medical doctor, Femi Oyekan. Good to have you join us, Dr. Femi Oyekan. Now, we'll see this halt by some countries of the use of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. We know from the reports we're getting, out of 17 million doses issued so far, there have been reports of 40 blood clots. Talk to us about how significant this number is.
This conversation also very important because at the moment is the AstraZeneca vaccine that is available in Nigeria, where your station has its local headquarters. The facts, the document available at my disposal has not in any way showed any risk of thromboembolic event, or maybe stroke or PE, or maybe DVT that could possibly be linked to the AstraZeneca vaccine. And so far, I will say this to the public, that in terms of transparency and in terms of methodology on how they came about reaching the safety of the vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine has been the most transparent as regards to all scientific protocols in terms of reaching their data and effectiveness. So this isolated event that somebody came up with clots, and the thing is, once you want to prove to the possibility of a clot, you must check other factors. At the time of administration of these vaccines, was there a significant rise in D-dimer or the clotting factors or the APTT or maybe any of the clotting, or did they significantly increase the platelet counts that you possibly will now say that, okay, it's increasing the risk of clots? I'll say that from all the available data that are available at my disposal, both from WHO, European emergency, medical emergency, and the pharmaceutical regulatory bodies, there's none of those regulatory bodies that have said conclusively that the AstraZeneca vaccine predisposes people more to blood clots or any of the thromboembolic or DVT.
So, Dr. Oyekan, should we then just dismiss these concerns raised by these countries? Are we saying that if we have about 40 blood clots, that it is a coincidence?
I'll say that every day in the hospital, you meet people that come up with blood clots, that these blood clots have always been happening before the introduction of vaccine, and it's also going to happen even after the vaccine. But that there is any scientific link between the vaccine and blood clots, there is no regulatory body anywhere in the world that have conclusively identified any risk. But because let me put this, because the people who have received the vaccine, possibly they may have had predisposing factors like peripheral vascular disease, hematological concerns that may predispose them, but it doesn't in any way indicates that people who have this vaccine. Let's look at it. Over 17 million people across the globe have received it, and if you have isolated 4 events, it doesn't in any way add up to show that. But maybe let me add this. In all, receiving the vaccine is still more safer than avoiding it, especially for countries across the globe that are dependent on the AstraZeneca vaccine to keep its population safe.
Absolutely, and that's what scientists and medical doctors like yourself are saying, that, look, it is still better to take the vaccines. That's the only way we can totally curb the spread of this virus. But for countries, because this is Europe, where some countries in Europe are complaining about the blood clots, while within the same Europe, some countries are saying, look, we are fine over here. Should we then consider issues like genetics, geography, population? Can those factors, come into play?
Well, I'll say that it's left to each country's what we call in Nigeria, it's called NAFDA, to decide which vaccine they are going to eventually vaccinate their population with. But in all, in all, in terms of safety, in terms of efficacy, in terms of um, management, like talking about a preservation of the vaccine, I still think that the AstraZeneca vaccine is still more user friendly. But I'm not going to say that I can influence or medical experts are going to possibly influence what each of the regional bodies like maybe Bulgaria, Spain, or maybe Germany, what they are going to do. They are all going to decide what's safe for their citizens. But if I'm going to be talking as an expert, that okay, from the medical point of view, I will say that this vaccine is safe. But I know that tentatively, WHO have set up a regulatory body as of today that have not yet given us a conclusive feedback to say the country who have altered the rollout of the vaccine, should they continue to halt it or they should start giving it out. But what I personally know from following this in the last 1 year, I work in England. I know the setup of the AstraZeneca vaccine, and I can say that without any form of reservations that it's still safe. Nobody who has taken it has been linked to possibly death, or I'll say that it's still safe.
So the downside to all of this is the issue of vaccine hesitancy. In a place like Nigeria, where now we're just rolling out the vaccine, we're getting reports now that about 8,000 people have received their first dose of the vaccine. We're also now hearing people saying, look, hey, I am just going to wait and watch people take this vaccine. If everybody's fine, then I'm going to take it. How do we start to deal with the downside of this kind of suspension of the vaccine, which is vaccine hesitancy?
I'll say that the way Nigeria has also started the rollout is also very commendable in the fact that public servants that have huge responsibility on their shoulders have come forward to openly take the vaccine. They also can come out and say that I've taken the vaccine and I've not developed any shortness of breath, no clots, nothing, and I'm still healthy. I'm just going to encourage as many people from my states to make themselves available. I think in that way, if public servants are going to come out and boost public confidence or use available data, let's use data from authoritative bodies like WHO, that European Emergency Medicine, use one from FDA, and even AU too can independently make an assessment to see that some of these vaccines are life-saving. And I don't think, people are still going to be skeptic. Like I know there's a gentleman in Kogi State that is being anti-corona, vaccine. But there are still going to be outliers like that. But in all, people from broad-based consensus, reasonable people are still going to go ahead and say that in order to keep our people safe, we need to encourage people to come out and get involved in accepting these vaccines and then be part of solution and keeping the society safe.
But what does this mean? Going back to Europe now, Europe is lagging far behind when it comes to its vaccination program than most continents in the world. What does this mean for the ability to achieve herd immunity in Europe, where now a lot of countries are suspending the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine?
I'll first say that in Europe, European nations on the average are very wealthy nations. So unlike when you're saying that a country like Nigeria is totally dependent on the COVAX, World WHO's assistance to get the vaccine, in Europe, countries have already purchased these vaccines by themselves. In England, with a population of about 60 million, as of yesterday, over 25 million people have already been vaccinated. And the same goes with countries like Israel, which has almost at all its population. And they also, and the funny thing is, like, apart from the AstraZeneca and Oxford vaccine, in Europe you have varieties. You have the Moderna, you have the Johnson & Johnson, you have even right now nations from Europe are beginning to call for this Sputnik K, the Russian vaccine, which has also shown to be very effective. So in all, like the last time I wanted to take my second dose of vaccine, I saw like 6 to 8 vaccine. I was supposed to, you're supposed to choose which one you want to take. So the situation is not like it's not the same. It's not the same. Europe, if they say they don't want to take AstraZeneca vaccine, there are 3, 4 other ones that they can quickly lay their hands on and make it available to citizens. It's not like that in Africa, because if you look at the income disparity, the wealth creation, and also the cohesion between some of these regional bodies, you can't compare the cohesion between EU and AU, like European Union and African Union. The cohesion is totally different. So the situation in Europe is not going to be as worrisome as the situation we're going to be having in Africa if the vaccine is shelved to one side.
Absolutely. There are areas of options, even though we know that there is also a global vaccine shortage. Thanks for talking to us as always. It's always great to have you. Medical Doctor Femi Oyekan, thanks for talking to us.
Okay, thank you.